there's more room for other jungle champions rather than for almost the longest time we can remember. There's been 2 or 3 top ones, but now some more are starting to sneak in there. Even though Rek'Sai is kind of crowding out the majority of them. If she's off the table, then we start to get a lot more interesting things.
I would like to see interesting. Talk about TSM having these big champion pools. See what they can actually reach into. The Azir is banned off first. I like that from Envy right away. TSM felt okay to play the same composition twice in a row yesterday and 3 Azirs along the way. So get it.
Yeah, Bjergsen's been playing a lot of Azir recently, going more carry from the mid lane. But Bjergsen has also shown he's very willing to play support, to play utilities from the mid lane. So now maybe we'll get a different look from TSM. We definitely will get a different look from the bottom lane. They've been joking about it for weeks here from TSM, as Doublelift has only played a single game this split on not Lucian. Now he'll have to play another champion. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him, but you have to wonder, anytime you just play a single champion over and over, you just really get used to that champion and you're used to all of its matchups. And the muscle memory definitely has an effect, even over a short period.
He's already got the shakes. He's like, I don't have it. I need my Lucian.
My Lucian.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Lod has actually played a lot of Lucian as well, so we'll see. I think that, you know, Lod has been leaning towards Ezreal mostly if Lucian's not there. He also has, you know, some Caitlyn in there.
Yep.
But he's definitely had a bit more diversity. There's that Swain that we talked about. Actually, will not see him in game. Haunter's been pretty much Swain or Aurelia a lot recently. And he's been doing a great job, as we talked about, carrying from the top lane, just putting up great damage numbers and handling his own in lane.
I feel like that last ban would have been that Arise or Aurelia. It turns out to be the Rise now as the first pick. The Aurelia, or do they actually get that jungle for themselves? It's going to be neither. The Trundle is actually first picked up here for Envy.
Yeah, I do like that. As we talked about, every single time he's locked in, I'm a big fan of anyone who just smashes almost all matchups in lane. And Trundle's great into most melees, and look what they've banned. They banned Swain, so that range champion's not there for him to have to deal with. And then TSM took care of a lot of those very strong mages on the other side. And as of right now, I don't think they would... I mean, they could go back to, we said, you know, TSM can very well show a different look here, but I don't think they would want to go back to the Haunter on tanks. He's been having a lot of success with his carry tops, so that Maokai mouse over maybe, just a joke.
It's been a while since the Maokai. Looking back, has to be all the way back to Immortals, and that was actually a loss for Team Solo Mid in that engagement. It is going to be the Rek'Sai and the Karma pickup coming in for Team Solo Mid. 2 very well-rounded picks. See that Karma still being up, and she's been played so much lately.
Definitely a huge rise in priority for the Karma. Everyone's relying so much on these speed boosts to maneuver. Since so much of the game now is around these mid-game team fights, because we've added extra objectives to the game with the changes to dragons as well as Rift Herald being buffed, and they are actually significant. You know, it took people a while to get used to them, but the win rates, especially in competitive play, when people have been able to take Rift Herald, and especially early Rift Heralds, have been very, very significant. And we've seen, especially in North America, people really focus on that. So Rek'Sai's a good start. As we said, you know, that's pretty much the premier jungler right now. But you're going to need, you know, some top lane presence as well. And it's a little bit difficult to get that versus a Trundle with Swain and Vladimir and Rise all being banned out.
Talked a little bit about that. Elise Proxen will lock it in, and we have the Ezreal, which usually between the Lucian and Ezreal goes to Lod, but we also saw Ninja toying with this yesterday.
Yeah, in their famed all attack damage composition. I'm pretty sure they won't go full attack damage again. They're already right here. I've locked in Elise, so at least they have a little bit of magic in there, but yeah, they got reamed for that that champion select, and this technically still is a flex pick for Ninja. You know, he's one of the guys who is a sort of legacy Ezreal player, and he was always talked about, oh, this guy's got a weird mid lane champion pool, you know, when he was playing across the seas in other leagues, and he did bring it over here, but like I said, I think that Lod will be very happy to take that one up. Double is showing the Sivir already, though, so he actually doesn't double up. I mean, he doesn't go to another new champion, because the single champion that he did play besides Lucian was Sivir back in week 1.
So nothing new from TSM. They're going to keep the same comp, not show too much coming into game one, just play it strong, regular composition, and now Envy. Do they flex the Ezreal? What do they finalize with?
Yeah, I'm looking at Ezreal being the AD carry because if you look over at TSM side, you see double speed boost now and an Aurelia. That's a lot of dive for any AD carry that doesn't have a jump of his own. So I really don't see Envy going the Ashe route, even though Ashe has been super popular and you would like engage if your top laner is Trundle,
right.
And your jungle is Elise. You don't really have the best engage, but I think it's just too dangerous to lock something like that in.
Ooh.
Okay, well, this technically still is a flex pick, but I would believe that Ninja would take the Varus once again.
Right.
Varus has been a mid lane champion that's super popular in Korea right now, and Ninja has already taken that to the mid lane. And we'll see if he can actually pull that poke off, but we're just talking about how dangerous it is to take Ashe into double speed boost Aurelia comp. Varus, very similar situation that he's in.
Also, the composition in general here for Envy, putting themselves into a poke comp against the comp that wants to rush you down. If they get themselves behind, which they have been faltering early in games, that's almost impossible to find your way back in.
It does look a little bit scary here for Envy already in the draft phase. Now, they have locked in some counter initiation. Braum there with the wall that could do some to slow down the TSM onslaughts, as well as if Ninja is very accurate with the ultimate from Varus, that can be something where you can stop someone in their tracks. And as you say, a poke comp is very good at, focus firing down the first person. If someone charges in, they get nailed with that snare. Elise follows up with Cocoon. Ezreal can land skill shots easily since they're snared up. And the pillar from Trundle is what's meant to bring a poke comp all together. This is one of the age-old things. People have used Trundle in poke comps for years. And it's all about, just getting that pillar in there, the slow, so that more of those skill shots can land from the team. Meanwhile, TSM, there you go. There's your last lock-in. And it's going to add an extra life to the person who's diving in. So you're going to have to take him down twice.
You really hit the nail on the head there, saying Haunter, continue to keep him off the tanks. More damage, and that Bjergsen utility can then come back out. We haven't seen the Zilean for a few weeks, but it is detrimental to that mid lane. He is going to make Ninja's life a living hell. We've seen Bjergsen's bombs get off. Now he has the speed to get into range to do more with the rest of his team. It's going to be hard. With Envy trying to sit on the back line and poke, they have a lot of things to dodge.
Yeah, it is. And TSM did a good job, saving their Bjergsen pick for the last pick, just to add that extra little umph. Bjergsen, the crazy thing is, on Zilean, he's not only, been able to add the extra revive for their comps and, play for the entire team, he's also had lane pressure every time he's played Zilean, just in the 1-versus-1 matchup. All
right, before we load into Summoner's Rift, be sure to contribute to the conversation over on Twitter. Use hashtag EnvyWin or hashtag TSMWin to declare your allegiance. And we'll see how you're voting as we get in the game, probably just after those Keystone Masteries. We'll see how they are doing. Getting on to the Rift here, Envy really looking to find how they can do against these top teams. They've been faltering a little bit. TSM undefeated in the LCS, but really not feeling that pressure just yet. They said, we've lost a few games. We're just going to keep playing how we are.
Yeah, I really do like the mentality the TSM players have too. Every time I talk to one of them, they're like focused on continuous improvement, which is something they taught us in school. Okay, well, we've got to invade here. We'll save the school discussion for later. But these guys, they're always looking for areas to improve upon, right? And there have been mistakes from TSM. They have dropped individual games, at least.
Exactly.
And they always have that critical eye, looking for, what can make it just a little bit smoother. These guys are very dedicated, and they're putting in a ton of work to stay at the top of the North American LCS. See if Envy can topple them today or not.
I don't like what's happening, Kobe. These wards, they better mean they want to find each other in the 2v2 and not avoid each other in a lane swap. After all this smack talk, they're going to switch lanes.
I hate to break it to you, but yeah, the Silver Karma here are just hovering in mid lane. As you can see, they're waiting for someone to be revealed upon on wards so they can make their decision which side to try and seek. Envy are going for that top side swap, and it looks like Double Lift and Biofrost and Double Lift are the first to reveal over that ward. So there they go. Envy switch gears. They send them down bottom. Let's get out of there. And Lod will be able to take the fight to Double Lift as soon as they transition into team fight phase. And he's got his tier stacked up already and worked through that early curve of Ezreal.
Give him some Qs. Q over the wall. Be a bro.
Oh, man. No love.
I guess not.
As he passes by the red buff.
Oh, well. Oh.
I mean, here comes the love from Biofrost.
Nicely played. Ninja actually walking into that prevented himself from taking a bit more in the early part there. It could have been a tether if Biofrost came in, but obviously level 1 Q.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, did not work out with that early level up.
So there's a couple things, that go into these early plays. Of course, when you're in a lane swap, everyone always talks about, oh, the map is now swapped to top and bottom curve here rather than red versus blue, and you should be hovering, especially if you are on something like Varus, to your strong side of the map. For blue side would be the bottom side, but at least he does hold on to his flash, you can say there, and he just trades his ghost for the exhaust. That being said, took a bunch of damage on the way out. Here's our new fancy lane swap mode. You can see both of the turrets' health very, very close here. Should go down within seconds of each other. And the mini-map just moved over to the left side, so nobody gets lost there. Bjergsen early teleport back, and he has the freedom to do that since Ninja here is running the Flash Ghost. Extra Doran's ring now from Bjergsen to try and add extra AP. Here comes the repeat gank, or the answer gank here, and Proxen is seen.
As we've been watching the lanes go down on the side there, just around 2 minutes, you can see it's still down. Svenskaren's flash would blown by the invade as Hakuo went in for the blue, so that'll be up around 7 minutes. We'll see if it deters him from getting to the lanes. But as we expect, timing quite close here, just a 200 gold lead in favor of TSM.
Yeah, and with the help of the Karma gank early, plus the fact that Bjergsen's running teleport, so you can shove super early and you can go aggressive and then use your teleport to get back to lane. Because of all these factors, he's up CS early in lane once again on the Zilean. Meanwhile, if we checked in and you were paying attention to both of those screens as far as the lane swap goes, both of the top laners did get their solo gold. The only real big difference here is that Aurelia Hanser was able to pick up a lot more of the last hits. He stayed around a lot longer, and having to use that teleport early to get into position here. We'll see if he gets punished or if they can actually catch up on those minions for Seraph, because you definitely don't want to be behind the Aurelia race to Trinity Force as far as top lane matchups go. Ooh. Flash for flash here. Proxen is going to actually trade them on this visit mid. Plus, you can see the focus with warding on mid here from Proxen. They don't want to let Bjergsen take over this game as they've seen him take over so many. Helping out with some presence mid. It does also help out Ninja get back up in there with the CS. Varus, he just wants to get to that point where he can CS safely with his arrows.
Well, it hasn't been too easy just yet. That early visit coming in from Biofrost really set him back to CS. He's trying to pick up right now, starting to even things out as they match into lane. And we actually saw Proxen make his way back into his jungle, not privy to the knowledge that as Hanser and the rest of the team were just up there. Quite a bit of ward, so with an eye on Proxen, TSM may be able to make that early game move they're waiting for.
Yeah, well, so with both junglers actually heading to the lane swaps to answer turret trades here, we may actually see that move you're talking about center around an early Drake for TSM. The Rift Herald will be spawning. The Rift Herald does take a bit longer than early Drakes after the changes and boost to his health. So we'll see if Envy actually gets the time to answer, because in this situation, ideally, Envy would also like to keep up on the turret taking pace, which they're a little bit behind on, and also keep up in the objective trading, get that Rift Herald, but TSM are just too quick here, and they're going to be up Dragon as well as the turret timing. Now, we'll see if that actually has any ramifications, because they could just ride out this small difference in tempo as they switch over to the Rift Herald. But as you said, Rift Herald is very, very difficult to take. And if TSM really had wanted to try and send some people up here, it only takes a little bit to interrupt one of these Rift Herald takes. Nobody does go up though, and Envy will just even it out.
Seraph says, thanks guys. Thanks for grabbing that for me. And how beneficial would that have been actually if this swap had happened differently? The Pope team getting the first Ocean Drake, having time to spend out on the map and kind of push TSM back. However, TSM get Drake #1. Envy will answer, though. They still have a bit of movement on the map, even if they aren't showing the vote. 92-8 right now. And we'll see if Envy can fight back on that.
Yeah, that's a much needed buff for Sarah in the Glimpse of the Void, which you get off of Rifttail, because as we said, the main difference in this lane swap has been that Hauntzer has been able to pick up so many more minions using that teleport early and sticking around in the minion wave for much longer than Seraph did. Hauntzer is up basically the entire gold lead that TSM has over Envy right now, or a very, very large portion of it. He's up almost 600 gold on Seraph, and that Rifttail buff is definitely needed to try and even those odds.
So what can Envy do at this point? Seeing Hauntzer getting big, knowing he's going to kind of be a split push menace. Do they wait this out and try to get Seraph big, or can they almost act on it now?
I mean, yeah, that's what they're trying to do right now, right? Seraph is holding the wave at the turret. He's trying to catch back up in CS. The big thing is that he's going to have to go purchase before that really means anything. Because you can even up the gold all you want, but if you haven't gone back to base to purchase the item, not going to make a big difference. And Double Lift and Biofrost come to shove him in. They want to put a stop to this freeze, which is pretty easy for them as Seraph has taken a lot of damage from the minions as well. And it's very difficult for Trundle to actually CS under turret if he's low like this, facing this duo of poke.
Oh,
he actually may even go for the dive on him.
He doesn't really have a wave clear, still stacking the Jarm's Fist, and I don't know if it's going to be enough. He is able to get a few bites off. They didn't have a full connection or just damage on the turret as Hakuo approached. Nice double bomb.
They definitely were surprised by Hakuo, and the reaction there was very quick for Bjergsen to teleport in to make sure things did not go terrible. Uh-oh, hook here.
They walk it in. Chain of Corruption connects. Biofrost puts himself up front. I'll be the last one out. Don't worry about it. And all this time, Hauntzer, 3 CS in that bot lane.
Yeah. Hooked arrow, basically, for the fair. Saved it. Anyways, the damage there from mid is the answer from Envy, as because of the surprise show up there from the support of Hakuo and the aborted dive from TSM, it does cost Bjergsen some of that mid lane pressure. They get some damage on the turret, you know, and Envy are able to stabilize a little bit, although the main job was done, right? TSM, they're still trying to nurture this advantage for Hauntzer over Seraph. It's a level advantage, it's also item advantage, and now all they have to do is try and maneuver it so that they can actually get that matchup, you know, once Hauntzer is able to complete his Trinity Force. Right now he's doing a good job just pruning the wave. You can see he's trying to keep it at a manageable size so that he can react with teleport if need be, but it doesn't get so big that it's going to push really quickly. He wants to keep it right about there since he's got vision as well.
His will regroup, the cavalry of minions to slow it down, and Hauntzer is having a field day in that lane right now. Sitting on just under 1,000 gold, Bjergsen around 1,600 himself with money to go back on, but you can see how sure of themselves they feel right now, staying out of the map for long periods of time. And TSM was doing this the other day as well, is pushing with Biofrost and Double Lift continuously in one lane.
Yeah, I mean, their job right now is basically to keep up this pressure on the side without getting caught. And they have a very good duo to do that. Sivir and Karma, those are the two with the speed boost. So this duo is just supposed to hold this pressure point while their other two farmers get ahead. And the farmers are Svenskeren and Hauntzer. And those two are the ones that are holding the gold lead for TSM. And now he's moving in to claim this turret. TSM, an entire turret actually ahead, as the top side is going a lot slower for Envy. They're trying to answer. But it is, again, the couple of seconds that they've kind of been behind on the turret trading for most of the game.
They're very good at using breakpoints and excelling the turret drop. Gets you that gold where you want to get your breakpoints. And TSM now coming out with more items, control on the map as well. They do trade again on that turret, but their movement is always one step ahead. And once the fight goes along with one of these turrets, TSM's going to be on the inhibitors.
Yeah, and with the way that the side lanes are going here, so incredibly favorable for Hauntzer, I do like that Seraph is not going for Ravenous Hydra and he's going to go for the Titanic so he can get that health. Because if you're not significantly ahead, or if you're not getting your 1 versus 1 matchup as Trundle early on in the game, then the Ravenous Hydra actually is very scary and very risky for you to take because it does leave you very squishy. And Aurelia, you know, even with the Glimpse of the Void, you have to be worried about getting burst down with that. even though we've seen so many people, you know, opt for the Ravenous, that's usually when they have a more even early game or even get ahead early.
Another Ocean Drake, 2 seconds. The TSM is already huddled around the bottom side of the map. Bjergsen is in range with the majority of the team. The teleport's ready for Seraph, so we may get some action here. But as a poke team, Envy would love to see where TSM is first before they try this.
Definitely they would. Landing poke before the objective is crucial, as they don't really have a super strong tank to soak up any damage, with Seraph, you know, being the one that's been kept down in this game. Now, if we broaden our spectrum here and look a little bit at the overall team comps and how people are, you know, reacting to those with their in-game purchases, I really do like the Svenskeren early Merc Treads on Rek'Sai, because one of the things we mentioned in Champion Select, you know, is how the poke comp full range is going to try and CC the first person who walks in and focus them down. Even if the Varus ultimate lands or the Cocoon lands, Aurelia does have her passive for Tenacity, and now Svenskeren with the early rush on Merc Treads, plus whichever one does get caught is going to have the revive from Bjergsen. They're building into countering it as well. Here goes a demonstration of tenacity as Sven gets cocooned.
That teleport from Seraph as well. This isn't even home guards. We're at 13 minutes, so they're going to be crawling in on this one. He did just finish the Titanic, though, so he's got a little bit of damage to bring to the table. The TP now coming in. That's going to be from the top lane. And Hanser, Seraph is the focus as he gets exhausted out. This one is slow going as a 13-minute 5v5 brawl in the bot lane for second-tier turret. Disengages, and it looks like TSM's going to stay for the turret.
Yep, they're going to try and get some extra damage here and finish it off. They do have the extra shields to push through.
On the Seraph, they do take him down, understanding his subjugate was down, an easy target, but they trade now 1 for 1. Svenskeren very low, comes back up with the Chrono Shift. Hakuo's going to know. Yes, he does go down. Doublelift able to get the boomerang onto that one, and now Bjergsen is left up the river here. He's going to be eventually falling, as the rest of the team is looking to clear waves, get themselves back into position here. But TSM, like I said, they're going to get one of those fights around a turret, and they're going to take a lot if Envy is there to go down as well.
Yeah, and that is when everything comes crashing down around Envy's ears. TSM pushed right through. That early revive from Bjergsen is able to get Svenskeren right back up, so they do not even give away a kill. They not only knock her down the turret, the Drake is there as well, and the snowball is in full effect for TSM. There it is, full confidence to dive in on Seraph. We talked about how he was the one getting kept down, so they focus him again, take him out early. Bjergsen times his revive, so Sven gets right back up, flashes out, and he even was able to bait around extra kills. Really, really well played here from TSM. I have to say, very rarely do we talk about huge advantages, I guess, coming from Champion Select, but we talk about each step of the way during the pick bans, and TSM, this is what it looks like when they have the speed boost plus the revives, and Envy goes pick comp. You know, their last couple picks were the Varus, and they kind of drafted themselves into a bit of a corner here. Unless you get like a super good early lead, or TSM really messes up on an aggressive move and tries the tower dive and botches the tower dive early on, it's pretty hard for a team like this that Envy are running to come back. They're going to try and do it right now with CG Gump at the turret, but there's just so much control for TSM, and having taken all of the turrets on the outer sides for TSM, there's such a liability for Envy of getting flanked. It's extremely scary for Envy at this moment.
Only going to get tougher. And what do they ban next? You talked a little bit about coming out of champion picks and bans with kind of the lead already. And when you ban away even just about any lane of TSM, you're getting a lesser evil, not necessarily a champion they haven't played in a while. They're still good on the third, the fourth, the fifth pick they have to go to, so it becomes very difficult. And we'll see the test here against Envy working for TSM. They come through with a speed composition and now are the inhibitors 16 minutes into the game.
Yeah, this is maybe the third time that Envy have been behind on turret trading, and Seraph actually trying to defend is going to lose his life.
Oof. The love taps. Took a while.
Extra love there from Doublelift. Thanks to my old teammate Seraph. Gonna cash in on some gold there, and Svenskeren locks it down. That's gonna be a very, very free inhibitor.
Whoa.
as TSM are just annihilating Envy.
That Triforce proc absolutely exploding. Lod, TSM onto the Nexus.
17 minutes into the game.
20 right now. They literally took apart a composition that Envy could put together, and then they made the shot caller have something to focus on all game by putting Double Lift and Biofrost in Seraph's face and his lane, and it has crushed Sheriff's lane down. He may have minions to farm if TSM ever give the base breathing room. Double Lift will finally fall, as they were biting off way more than they could chew. They almost knew it, as the rest of the team is messing around in mid.
I mean, I guess you could say this is one of those scenarios.
Oh, hello.
Where TSM are getting a little carried away with their success.
You could go there.
And that's kind of what I was talking about as far as the psychology at the in-game intro, but even if you say they're getting a little carried away with the success, they're having massive success in this game to be inside of the base, killing Nexus turrets at 17 minutes. The good thing for Envy, all right, if we try and slow it down a little bit after this, and we do see their follow-up kills here on the duo, the good thing for Envy is that at least TSM don't get a lot of gold off of Nexus turrets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely demoralizing to have your base destroyed 17 minutes into the game and have this clear avenue in, but at least Nexus turrets don't give you a bunch of gold, and if Envy can try and stabilize now and hold on for a very long time, they can. Yeah. There's hope there, but man, TSM are really running away with this game and making a statement at the beginning of this series versus Envy.
Where are they gonna head next? I mean, we said it at the beginning of the game, and Envy kind of put themselves in a bit of a rut choosing the poke comp against the undefeated team in the league that's always going to want to pressure a new advantage. So if you fall behind against these guys, there's almost no chance of coming back. Envy looking for those variables right now and being pushed in every lane makes it seem pretty grim. Haunter on Seraph, and he can't afford to fight that. Svenskeren and the rest of the team denying this security, the vision that Envy's trying to put in their jungle here, and just looking for an opening to take one more of their members.
Yeah, Svenskeren's very happy to soak these skill shots, by the way. As we said, he's building to be the front man. Full defense, has the Merc Treads early. Maybe a little bit too much there as they burn the Bjergsen ult, but it's gonna pop right back up and go for round number 2 of soak all the skill shots.
Looks like they'll be able to clear a bit. Once they actually have the numbers there, they can clear these waves, but now that they have to be split thin because of this inhibitor down already, it just makes things that much harder. We had a question if, Envy was going to come up against the top teams in the leagues and kind of falter. Even if they did, would they be able to kind of recuperate, figure out what the wrongs were and right those? And it seems like with it all happening so fast, even in a best of 3, they seem to not be able to.
Yeah. Definitely having some problems. I think they do originate in Champion Select because it was one of the issues yesterday. We mentioned briefly the full attack damage comp that they had, which, those can be successful, but they're so ridiculously risky. And if you make that one mistake, then it's very difficult to come back from because the itemization for the enemy is so easy. And this time around, TSM actually weren't really hiding the fact that they were going with speed-centric, or Aurelia dive, and Envy were still confident enough, Ninja specifically, to pick the Varus and round it all out as a poke comp. Seeing that,
I think something like if they even threw a Victor in there with the gravity field and the Chaos Storm, TSM would have to run into that at least, but that would at least give them a little more AP, a little more option.
Facing this full tank Svenskeren with Merc Treads, going to be backed up by a revive. He's going to be fearless running at this team, and all he has to do is get in there. He's got Flash now as well, so one knockup should be enough for a Sivir plus Karma speed boosted Aurelia to get to that back line and take them out very quickly. Trundle really only works as the front line in poke comps if you're ahead and you're using the pillar at the enemy turrets to slow them down to land their skill shots. Trundle's not a peeler. He's not very, he can try, but he can only really slow people down a little bit. He's not someone with hard CC that's going to actually be able to significantly protect you against an Aurelia.
It's like they're just going to hatch this ward for now. They move off. Past one.
Everybody take a bomb.
They tried this yesterday. Looks like they're gonna bait it.
Yeah, that ward though, Envy shouldn't get too far ahead of themselves.
Nice hail of arrows actually slows down the back part of the team, but as you said, Svenskeren feels just fine going in by himself first and allowing the team to regroup on him. TSM back off, looking for a finalizing fight and another open inhibitor there if Envy were to engage, but it looks like they're playing it as safe as they should. Oh, okay. I was gonna say he's taking the wrong path, but he gets the save from Proxim.
Yeah, those are the two frontline guys though. That's what TSM wants to be up there. They're fine taking the hits, and TSM can return to the same strategy.
Ooh, they're using a lot to get out of this, and Envy's not getting much back. There's the damage they were looking for. A very nice piercing arrow from Ninja. Makes TSM think twice, but oh, double it, thinking 3 times.
Some strong disengage there from Envy. This is what they want. They want multiple disengage opportunities. Now, they did have to blow some ultimates to get those off. Now they don't have Braum ultimate or Varus ultimate, and those are the two really main disengage options that they have. So with double lift, that Sivir ultimate, and Karma always having very low cooldown on her speed boost being back up, Envy have to be much more cautious for round number 3. They did a pretty good job disengaging those first couple ones, but weren't able to get anything back for it, and TSM aren't going to give up trying. And get the stun here.
Frozen Domain, looks like it gave him just enough room to get away. He actually may get sped up, slowed down, or bombed out by Bjergsen here, but he actually gives up chase, and they give the red buff over to Lod, you saw with the True Shot Barrage.
Oh man, too, with Mountain Drake spawning here, that's exactly what TSM want. Double Mountain Drakes, they can do the same Baron bait again, only after the disengage from Envy, TSM can just turn around and burn Baron. They already have one Mountain Drake. If they get another one, that will be a very trivial objective for them to take. And Envy are going to be so cautious about walking up through the jungle with the pick potential that TSM do have at the moment. It's we talked about it being scary at minute 15 for Envy. Things are getting very, very, very worse for them now.
All they're relying on too, since they're kind of money struck, is Recipeing and Farsight. They don't have any more vision wards to put down in their spots, so even walking into this, like you said, very dangerous, and they're not really leaving with any vision either. A few pink wards do go down, so they can have some breadcrumbs to stay safe. Not much though. At least they know how to get back home, defend those inhibitors. True Shot Barrage to peek at Baron. Pretty low kill game here with a lot of aggression from Team Solo Mid, focusing on the turrets, getting their lead from objectives, and again, this fast rotation comp around the map that we consistently see now.
All right, let's talk about positives for Energy now, or Envy. Because Envy have been on the receiving end for most of this game. You know, at least Ezreal here, we talk about a lot trying to stack up. He's got his Muramana transformed. And we saw a couple times the successful disengages. If they can actually poke someone down through one of these disengage exchanges, they're not too far behind in gold. You know, they might be able to recover from that. This dragon coming up, though, is going to put a lot more pressure, because dragon's a lot easier to take for TSM. And as we said, the stacking mountains are going to make Baron even easier.
Got credit to Envy as well, not falling prey to these engages. 2 or 3 times now, TSM has used the Mantra Shield and double list ult to try and get in, and Envy is always ready for it. One of these times, somebody might move too far out, maybe not a Svenskeren or a Hanser, and that would be Envy's in.
Yep.
It's a small window, but they definitely have to work with right now.
And if Envy are able to get a teamfight win off of poking someone down and focusing them before it really commits to a full engage from TSM, then they do have the team to siege up and take turrets afterwards. They could gain a lot of global gold from the 2 outer turrets that are still standing from TSM, and, you know, take those down after killing someone. So there could be an opportunity for them to, you know, try and even up the gold. But again, the cards are in TSM's favor at the moment. And all they really have to do is wait for this Mountain Drake to pop up, and they'll gain a lot more pressure drawing Envy out into the open, which is where TSM want them, so they can chase them down.
I'd be impressed by this guy on your screen right now if he can come back and continue to lead this team. He was down quite a few CS, has roamed around, scrounged up the amount of CS to get himself back to at least even, and now a little bit ahead of Hanser, but still looking to complete more items. Hanser just finishing that Randuin's, but the Frozen Heart definitely going to help Seraph keep himself up in these fights.
Yeah, and the Frozen Heart is one of the few items that you can build to help your teammates out and peel for them as well. We talked about Trundle has a hard time peeling Aurelia. An AoE attack speed slow is one of the best things that you can try and do against her. Because she's just gonna dive right past you. If you bite her, to take away some attack damage, and then stand close to reduce her attack speed, that's most of what you can offer. There goes the Mountain Drake though, and that's gonna put that extra pressure on Baron. TSM should probably transfer up there right after this.
You know, it's almost kind of what Seraph said previously is, you know, our early game may not be that good, but I feel late game we're better. And it was kind of a back and forth early game. TSM slobber-knockered Envy. And then you saw Envy say, wait a minute, we know exactly what we're doing wrong. Let's stop this. We just didn't have enough time to stop our inhibitor and Nexus turret going down first. Because it seems like TSM just should have went back and did it again, but they haven't been able to.
Yeah, that's the problem for TSM, right? You can chase people down, but if you don't have much room to chase them down, aka if you're inside at the Nexus turret or at that inhibitor, you know, you can't chase them into the fountain. You get lasered down.
Well, Kobe.
Yeah, so TSM trying to draw them out into the middle of the map via these neutral objectives. And Pink Ward on that Baron, I think they should be able to defend it and get right back there to the baiting. Well, they won't be able to defend it. Hakuo sneaks in, takes out that ward. Successful spy mission. But now he's gonna have to run for the hills because once TSM move back in, they should just be able to put all that vision right back down and get to their bait game.
Looks like Doublelift is gonna take top wave duty. All the buffs on the bot side are clearing so Envy can focus everything on the top side with Seraph's teleport being ready. And I think we're getting ready for one of our big fights here. Hopefully Envy, for them, can set up the poke on the outside.
Definitely. And focus, that is the key word. That's word of the day for Envy Riv, because they're going to try and focus fire a single person down. They have all of these range champions and then the pillar to try and slow that person down. If Envy can get that focus fire on someone, you know, keep them at range and allow Laud and Ninja to take them out, that is what a comeback is going to look like for them if it's on the table.
Got the real blue build for Laud. Still going for the Blade of the Rune King now. Even more appeal for himself as Hanser comes in. They don't want anybody getting close in these fights, and Seraph wants to get up close and personal here. That resolve is going to hit. Ultimate from Doublelift. His flash is also close. It's carried over the wall! And Envy gets popped up like a bounce house. TSM's gonna try to keep coming through on this one. Seraph will go down first. They actually went in to engage on what they saw 2 or 3. The poke comp engaged.
Okay, we're changing the word of the day to patience, Riv. Because Envy, when you're running a comp like this that's so fragile, we talked about this is exactly what TSM wants. They want to draw him out into the neutral objective. Here we go, another fight.
Oh, you gotta get close. You gotta see what's going on in the Baron Den, and it might just cost Envy more of their members. Hanser staying alive with the Chrono Shift. Ooh, just in the last second. Bjergsen, and it looks like 2 of them limp away. Biofrost looks like he wants to stay in play, but Envy has lost ground on the Baron, and they may continue to lose the objective now.
Yeah, Bjergsen has teleport, so that's why he's going back to base. He's going to teleport right back in. There he is. He's going to actually flank Lot.
Oh,
Ninja's in trouble.
Yeah, hopefully not close. Ninja double bomb. He gets stopped up. Thunderlords as well. The finish is going to come from Bjergsen, actually, onto Ninja. And now they finally turn after somewhat of an extended ace in the park home run for TSM and Baron.
Yeah, this is a very clean game from TSM. The setup from every stage, champion select, into the in-game counters as well, looking at what Envy drafted, you know, getting early tenacity, really just playing a well-crafted strategy, and the execution has been there for TSM. So game number 1 looks very good for them, and Envy just need to regroup after this, because this is a best-of series.
Oh, putting a lot of focus on Haunter and Doublelift as well. A Frozen Heart built up as well by Hakuo to get those auras kind of mixed up if they get split up in the fight. They're just looking to stay alive here and at least poke from range, but they're not getting any range. TSM closing the gap almost immediately every time they approach Envy's team. And here on the middle inhibitor turret, Doublelift and the rest are going to start focusing the top side.
Back to the inhibitor that we killed at 17 minutes. Yeah. Revisit you with Baron buff. And TSM close in on all sides. You can see they've got the 3-1-1 here. All the inhibitor turrets are going down. Inhibitor on the top side, and TSM close the loop.
Also one-on-one in the bot lane between Seraph and Haunter. Bjergsen's going to go ahead and lopside that matchup. They shouldn't have too much longer to take down this turret. Envy scattering back and forth, trying to figure out which wave is going to be the one to stop. A hit up onto Haunter stops him from going in, but the team is ready to actually route them from the other side while taking this mid inhibitor.
Yeah, there's just an absurd amount of speed on TSM's side. Zilean, Sivir, Karma.
Yeah.
Like, you can't catch anyone at this point.
You can
Their rotations are over 9,000 RPM.
You consider it for the catch, the skill shot hit, because they're missing these cooldowns that they need to actually hit at a pivotal point in the game, and nothing's matching up with their targets because they're shielded like that. Doublelift ultimate up again if they even get an even stickier situation that they have to get out of. And a McHale's to boot. And they're going to go ahead, get that Baron back, and right back at it. Not much left in Envy's base.
Yeah, you can barely draft more speed. Maybe if you had Hecarim and Rammus as your jungler and top laner instead, then this would be
Janna?
The king, yeah.
Well, then you lose Karma, so I don't know.
See?
Ooh.
You got to give up somebody good. I feel like, let's play a new game. Let's draft the ultimate speed comp that would actually still work. And I feel like Rammus and Hecarim would actually still work in this.
Yes. And then Cloud Drake can feel involved.
Yes. Sadly, we have not had any Cloud Drakes.
No love this game.
This would be the game to have them. TSM claim another mountain, and that means they'll be able to kill the Nexus that much quicker because that's one of the only structures remaining.
Oh, so slow, but the flashes are up, putting them in range of Seraph. One goes down, and potentially the final fight of game one of the series here as TSM looks to have eyes on the Nexus. A lot of wards being placed in here. If anybody needs to pass back, teleport in. Glacial Fissure goes out. Hakuo, Unbreakable is up. Pretty much saves his life there as Doublet gets the last few crits on. Ninja almost drops immediately as Haunter dives in. Svenskeren still being a huge tank on the front line. Literally just tanking the turret. Comes back up with Chrono Shift, and he is going to be still wreaking havoc at the doorstep of Envy's Fountain. That's going to be the Nexus turret going down. TSM controls game one, and they take down Envy.
Yeah, definitely controls it. They absolutely demolish Envy in game number one. In all aspects of the game. What a statement from TSM.
No more of that underestimating jazz.
Looking to prove themselves as the #1 team in the North American LCS, and very convincing performance.
Very convincing. We talked about their mentality coming in. They're saying, yeah, there's people think like there's a lot of pressure on us because we're undefeated, but we've lost game. There are flaws. We're playing good, but undefeated is